Denmark, population 5.8 million.
Here it is.
Period.
The news about the coronavirus. That's right. The news about the coronavirus.
In the past 2 weeks, Clermont County has had 130 new cases, which is 24% of their total cases since the beginning of the pandemic. Additionally, outpatient visits have tripled during the past 3 weeks. To put in perspective, Clermont County, with 197,000 residents, has had more cases during the past 2 weeks than the entire country of Finland, population 5.5. Almost all of the new cases have occurred outside of congregate settings, indicating significant community spread in Clermont County. Up to Cuyahoga County, still a critical stage. They are averaging 179 new cases per day, an increase of 49 additional cases per day since June 23rd. Outpatient visits for coronavirus more than tripled during the past 3 weeks. The county is very close to meeting the threshold for new hospital admissions. Some new cases are being driven by out-of-town travel and recreational activities. It's critical that the residents of Cuyahoga County remain vigilant and do all they can to reduce their risk and exposure to the coronavirus. We're continuing to monitor that as well. Back to Hamilton for a minute. Again, it remains red. Local health officials have said that number may be plateauing.
Here it is.
Close to plateauing.
The news about the coronavirus.
Number of cases.
That's right.
In the county.
The news about the coronavirus.
The previous week, the county registered more than 1,400 new cases. The number of people seeking medical care has increased 2.5 times during the past 3 weeks. And 3/4 of new cases are outside congregate settings, including an outbreak at a high school, multiple workplaces, and restaurants. So those are the counties, as we said, that are red. The order will be that at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, as we've done in the past, those counties will have a mandatory mask order. That will mean that approximately 60%, as of 6 o'clock tomorrow night, approximately 60% of the population of the state of Ohio will be living under a mask order. I also want to do a shout out for Walmart and Kroger, and there may be more I may have missed, but just in the last day they have all required masks to be worn. We talked about masks a lot, but as I said last night, the jury's in, the verdict by everyone really who has looked at this in the medical community and the health community overwhelmingly, that masks do make a difference. I am cautiously optimistic what we've seen, particularly out of Hamilton County. That is moving, and it's moving in the right direction. And so my message to my friends who are in the yellow counties or orange counties, please wear those masks. We're not putting an order on yet, but this is how you can keep it where you are, or maybe even go to a lower degree of spread. It looks like it is working in Hamilton County. It's still early, but we're making progress. So this is the right thing to do. We've got to slow this thing down. Let me make one more comment. There will be liquor control hearings on August 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. The Ohio Investigative Unit is a unit that normally focuses on liquor violations in the bars across the state of Ohio. They're a part of public safety. They are also, of course, now enforcing the rules regarding social distancing and mask wearing in these establishments. So we had a conversation today, as I said, with the Departments of Health. Also had a conversation with the Ohio Investigative Unit team. And so they will be following up, continuing to do their work, focusing on bars. Let me just say, most bar owners are doing a good job, but we do have bar owners out there who are not doing a good job. And so we've asked the health department to pinpoint those and that will be work that's going to continue to be done by the Ohio Investigative Unit. We'll now open up for questions.
Governor Marty Slayton, Ohio Capital Journal. First of all, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us in the press. I know you don't have a lot of it, but this is important. You said that you're not going to enforce your mask orders, saying instead that the intent is to get people to comply voluntarily. By that logic, why should I be arrested if I slam a six-pack and drive down I-70?
Well, I don't think we quite said that we're not going to enforce it. What we said is we're not looking to lock a lot of people up. That's not the idea. The law can be a teacher. We have seen that, for example, in some of our counties today where the mask order has fundamentally changed people's behavior. I think that without an order from me, people are beginning, I think, to understand the gravity of the situation. I think they're seeing the importance of wearing a mask. We are enforcing this, and as I just talked about, our investigative unit will be out again this weekend. They'll have additional people. They will be going into bars and making sure that the bar is complying with this social distancing. And again, I think it is a change in culture that we're looking for. We are not at people historically that wear masks. That's just not what we do. But we all are adjusting now to the new world that we live in. And the new world is that if we're going to make it, if we're going to continue to have businesses open, if we're going to continue to be able to do some of the things that we want to do, wearing a mask out in public is very, very important. So the answer to your question is the law is a teacher. We're not saying that there won't be occasions of flagrant violation of this, that something might not happen. So again, we're asking people to do this. I think it's the same situation that you're finding in other states as well, and people are doing it.
Thank you.
The state now will be under by tomorrow night under that order.
Governor DeWine, this is Laura Hancock with Cleveland.com. We've talked a lot about counties needing to work hard to head off becoming purple. You acknowledge that in Southwest Ohio that's been prevented. And I was just wondering what goes into place when a county becomes purple that would be different than when they're red. Besides the mask order, which they already have if they're red, what happens when you become purple? Why is that so bad?
We have not tied anything to that, and I go back to what Dr. Thomas said, who was involved in putting this together. We have heard for some time from counties who have said to us, look, we're different. We're a rural county. We don't have as many COVID cases, etc. So what we decided to do is to really be able to inform people every week on Thursday, it looks like, and we're going to tell you where your county is. And as Dr. Thomas said, this is an early warning sign. This is like getting the weather report. This is saying, hey, there's a front moving. It's coming. You better take shelter, or you better start doing something. What's different about in the weather is that the weather we can't do anything about. We can take shelter, and that's about all we can do to impact the weather. In this case, we can do something with this information, not just take shelter, not just look outside and say, hey, it's going to rain in an hour. I won't go out and water my plants because they're going to get rained on anyway. But it's very different with this type of information. This type of information is usable. And what it really says to people is, this is where my county is. So I know that right now, around Ohio, there are people who have said, well, that can't be. They look to their spouse and they say, well, that can't be. Our county can't be red. Well, they are red. And they're red for a reason. And they're red because we are seeing these early indicators. And so this is to inform people in Ohio, in a specific county, here's what your situation is. And what we're starting to see is, look, it's early, but what we're starting to see, for example, in Hamilton County, some in Butler County, other counties, is they're starting to get it and say, okay, we do have a problem. We don't want to be Florida in 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And if we don't want to be Florida, we got to do something now. So it is to inform people I'll go back to something that I've said time and time again. I said this last night. We fixate a lot, I understand that, on what Mike DeWine orders, or what the health department orders, or what your local health department orders. But the truth is, no matter what I order or don't order, the most important players in this game are the 12.7 or so million people in the state of Ohio. You control where Ohio's going so much more than I do. And we have these colors because we want to be able to tell you, for example, Central Ohio is red hot. We want to be able to tell you Southwest Ohio, we have some challenges here. And then we got a surprise problem. If you're in Scioto County, you may not have seen this coming, but this is an early warning. Hey, we got a problem in Scioto County. And you could go around to Athens, and you could, every other county, Richland County. And so that's the purpose of this, is to inform the public in that county so that they can take action. And we ask them to take action.
Hi, Governor. Andy Chow with Ohio Public Radio and Television State House News Bureau. Your message last night was about pleading with people to take the virus seriously, to do what they can to wear a mask. How will you know if that message sunk in? What kind of metrics are you looking for to tell you that it is shifting in the right direction, and what will you do if the numbers continue to get worse?
Well, I think we can see a difference, and I'm not saying we can see a difference since last night, but we can see a difference in some of these counties. I think you're seeing more people who are wearing masks. So one very tangible way is to see how many people are wearing masks. And look, I get calls, I get texts, and people will say, look, my child can't wear a mask, there's a medical reason. So I would just say, look, if we're all in this together, if there's a child or there's someone who is not wearing a mask, do not assume that they are in defiance of what the order is. And don't assume that they don't care about other people. So, but I would say, the vast majority of us can wear a mask, at least when we go into a store. And that's really what we're asking people to do, is to make a minimal commitment, a minimal sacrifice, a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. And the long-term gain is kids will be back in school in the fall. Long-term gain could be our kids can play football, our kids can play basketball, whatever it is. Look, we don't know what the future is, but we can impact that future, certainly by what each one of us do. So that's really what we're looking for. We're looking for people and what they do every day. And again, when I see significant companies in the state of Ohio who are saying, you come into our retail establishment, you will wear a mask. Everybody's starting to get it. And again, you may have a small number of people who for some reason can't. God bless them if they can't wear a mask, that's fine. But the vast majority of people can wear a mask, and we're asking them to do it. And I think we're starting to see some certainly movement in that direction.
What's the or else scenario of do this or else? What's going to happen if the numbers don't get better?
Look, as I said last night, as governor of the state of Ohio, I will do what I have to do to protect the people of Ohio, and that's what I'm going to do. Now we're going to constantly look and see. I had a good conversation, for example, today on the phone. We had most of the health directors from all over the state, and just asking them, what are you seeing? What type of things are causing the problem? So these are the notes I wrote down. These are my notes. I wrote them in the car, and I'll just read them in no particular order. And I don't think they're not meant to be in order, but these what came up: block parties, literally people getting together in block parties, neighborhood get-togethers, bars, churches. Mention, of course, about young people, and the data's clear. 20 to 29-year-olds, the numbers have gone up, dramatically. Travel, people coming back from traveling, and from hotspot states, restaurants. You know, these are just some of the things that I wrote down. John, I don't know if you had any more. You were on the same call I was,
Yeah.
but
It was, look, it's as you listen to that list, and I heard, I was listening to the same call the governor was. What people are saying is that what we're hearing from health officials is just people's individual responsibility. In some cases, they're not living up to it in the sense that they are not following the rules that we all have encouraged people to follow of the distancing and not gathering together in large groups. And I get it. It's like you see your family like, well, this is my family, you know. They don't. Well, your members of your family, my family, anybody's family who hasn't been following the recommendations and exposing themselves can then turn quickly and expose 10 of their family members to it. And it's what people do. You know, you may say, I'm doing great 8 hours a day at work, there's a great working environment, but if just one of you in that group kind of deviated from that, went out, did something that maybe was a little more risky, contracted coronavirus, you're walking around asymptomatic, you're shaking hands, giving hugs, doing the things you've always done, that's a recipe for disaster, for the spread, and it can happen just like that, where one person gives it to 4 give it to 12, and it can spread pretty quickly. So it's just everybody in their personal lives making good decisions so that they don't put each other at risk. And that's what we were hearing from the health department officials today, that we just they were really on the governor about just share that message about people needing to do these things, and he does it every day. I don't know that the governor could implore people to do this more than he has. He does it every day, and the more we listen to his advice, the better off we're going to be in the long run.
Andy, let me just answer the question this way, and one of the things that we're seeing, and this came up on this call, and that is people say, well, people's own home, and they have in the backyard or inside, obviously more dangerous, 75 people. And, you know, because we don't restrict what people do in their own home, people look at that and say, well, that's not part of the order, and I don't have to do it. And so what we're really asking people to think about is, don't think so much about what the order is, but rather think about, does this make any sense for my family? Does this make any sense for everybody else? And so to answer your question directly, I will do whatever it takes to keep people in Ohio safe. Hesitated before, I'm not going to hesitate again, but the better pathway obviously is if people look at these colors. If you're yellow, try to keep from going into orange, and if you're orange, try to keep going into red, and if you're red, do everything you can to push it back. So try to inform people with this.
Hello, Governor. Kevin Landers, WBNS 10 TV. I'd like you just to clarify again what purple means. Does that mean a county could possibly shelter in place? Does that mean you would institute a quarantine for people who are leaving the state, for example, going to Florida? What exactly does that purple trigger? And then, you know, we have a state of 11.7 million people. We had 1,000 new cases today. That's not a large percentage of the population. Can you explain why that is such a concern?
Why, which is such a concern, Kevin? I'm sorry.
Well, you know, we have 1,000 cases, 11.7 million people. That's not a large percentage. Can you explain why that is such a concern?
I talked about this last night, and I understand it doesn't look like a huge number, but you know, we are basically where Florida was a month ago. You know, Florida was at this level. If you look at positivity, if you look at number of cases, look at all kinds of different ways, and see where Florida is today. And so, look, we see these things coming. This system was designed. The color red was picked for a reason. It is a danger. We have challenges. It's a warning system. So what we've learned throughout this pandemic, And what, frankly, the scientists told me very early on, in February, they said, you have to move well before it looks like you have to move, because it goes out and multiplies out like this. So, for example, if you live in one of these counties, one of the yellow counties, now is the time to cut this thing off. It's so much easier to do it. So much easier to do it with if somebody comes down with it, tracing, a person's isolated for the period of time, anybody they've talked with or they come in real close contact with, and you just cut it off. You cut at the knees. And it's so much easier. When you get here, it's harder, and when you get here, it becomes much harder. So you've got to look down the road. Now, we are losing a lot of people every single day, and we not only have people who are dying, we have people who have long-term health issues. So I would not, as we look at the number of people who are coming down with this, I would in no way minimize that. But I would also say that the real concern is the future and how this bodes for the future and how this stuff multiplies. It just goes out like that.
Governor, can I emphasize something that I heard Dr. Thomas say, and I listened to a lot of these calls when it was being designed. It wasn't necessarily designed to be a triggering tool. It was designed to be an information tool. It was designed as an early warning system. He talked about it as a weather forecast. It's like, look, you may have some severe things coming at least, but unlike a weather forecast, you can actually do something about this. You can take the precautions individually and collectively to change your future. And that's what we want it to be. We want people to say, hey, this is happening. Maybe I ought not go do that family reunion or whatever it might be that we thought was a good idea a few weeks ago, because we're seeing a spread. And hey, there's a lot of 20 to 29-year-olds in this group. We know that they've been out doing a lot of things. They could be asymptomatic. Maybe we ought to rethink what we're going to do. That's what we hope people will use it for, to inform, making better personal decisions, taking more personal responsibility in the ownership of the solution.
So, for example, if you're in Hamilton County today, you know more, a little bit more at least, than you knew this morning. And what you know is, hey, we're doing a little better. Maybe some of these things that we're doing and we're putting in place, and the mayor and the county commissioners and other people are urging us to do, maybe some of that's working a little bit. And you know that at least you've slowed that rate of increase down. That tells you something. And it tells you something if you're in Scioto County and you say, I didn't know that. I didn't know that this was bad. So again, these are indicators for people to be able to react to. The question, the next level, the fourth level, we have nothing tied to that at this point. Doesn't mean we might not in the future, but we have nothing tied to that at this point.
Hello, my name is Susan Crosser with Hannah News Service, and I was just wondering, what's the National Guard, what's the status of their operations right now, and do you have any plans for once aid from them ends in certain areas like nursing homes? Will there be just any kind of support after them?
National Guard is today, I believe, doing some community testing, the pop-up tests. They also are in nursing homes. They're going to stay with the nursing homes for another week or so. They're making very, very good progress with the staffs there. We then will, at that point, move to a different system as far as the nursing homes, as far as the testing, where every nursing home will be required within a certain number of days to completely test all staff members. And that will be up to those nursing homes to do that. We will monitor that, and we will monitor the results. The Guard at that point will move more out into the communities. What I've asked our team to do a few days ago is to look at our mid-level counties, look at our counties that may be getting ready to turn red, and talk to the local officials and see, do you need more testing in the county? Can we come in for a day? Do you want us to come in? Do you want the Guard to come in, do pop-up testing? Say in Mansfield, Lorraine, you know. And so the scheduling of the Guard as we go forward is going to be a lot of it is going to be that community testing. They can come in, they can set up, they can get it done, we can get the results back, and that's helpful to that particular county. So they're going to be on a mission to find places where the local officials believe there is not enough testing. There's not been enough opportunity for testing. And so again, if anyone's watching this today from a county and you don't not think that there's enough testing in your county, talk to your local health department. If they don't think there's enough testing, they will be in touch with us and we will come in with the National Guard. We are very, very happy to have the Guard moving forward. I just signed a letter to the President thanking the President for subsidy on the Guard, but also asking that be extended. So we would have more opportunity throughout the rest of the year to have the Guard out 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Thank you.
Hello, Governor. This is Luis Gill with Ohio Latino TV. Governor, I would like to go on the same line about your speech last night. It seems like you were torn delivering your speech. What's the right thing to do for Ohio and Ohioans? So many people were not expecting. They don't know what to expect, but they were not expecting for you to come out and just simply ask, wear your mask. And in short, is it up to us, all to Ohioans, to come out of this crisis? And in short, what do we got to lose? It's just to wear the mask for 3 weeks or 4 weeks.
Well, I was torn. I guess anybody in this position is torn. You always wonder, you know, what are the things to say to people. But we scheduled that. It's the first time since I've been governor that I asked, you know, to have time that time of night. We normally do this 2 o'clock press conference, but I wanted to talk directly to the people of the state of Ohio and to lay out for them what was going on, what I was seeing every day, and frankly what my concerns are. I owe that to the people of Ohio. I owe it every day to tell them what we're seeing. But I want to do it in a more maybe cohesive environment or cohesive speech than I do sometimes when I'm here, because I wanted to tell them that every morning when I get up and turn on the news and I see what's going on in Florida or Texas or California, or Alabama,
that's right,
other states,
the news about the
my worst nightmare is
coronavirus.
that's coming to Ohio, and we have good evidence. When you looked at where those states were a month ago, basically it's where we are today. And we have trend lines.
The
look
news
at this
about
map,
the
how it's changed
coronavirus.
3 times, you've seen it. We now
That's
have 60%
right.
of the population of the state
The
of
news
Ohio
about the
living under red,
coronavirus.
which means we have very specific problems, and it's moving up, moving clearly in the wrong direction. So it was, as a former prosecutor, I guess it was my argument to the jury, people of the state of Ohio or the jury, and to tell them these are the facts. These are the essential facts that we have. This is what we know today. This is what we have to do to get through this. And what is at stake is what the fall is going to look like, what the winter is look like, our future. Our future as a state is at stake. No one wants to see us shut down. No one wants to see business shut down again. No one wants to see us hunker down. But if we're going to avoid all those bad things, we have to take action. And we have it within our collective selves to change the outcome. We really, really do. So that's what I was trying to do, trying to talk to the people of the state. And look, as I said at the beginning of the speech, there'll be additional orders in the future. But again, whatever those orders are, what's more important is what people do every day. And that's why I wanted to talk at 5:30, when I thought maybe people, maybe they're getting home, people turn on the TV, watch a little news, and they might come across Mike DeWine on there, and maybe they'd listen for a few minutes, and I'd have the opportunity to tell them what was on my heart, and what I'm seeing, and what I'm concerned about.
Thank you.